We all know that diet is the cornerstone of good health. So what would you feed your dog to make him healthy and to prevent illness? Well, if you look at the dog in nature before human beings got involved, you'd find that they ate small prey. That might be rabbit or pheasant. Unlikely to be something like a cow, because a dog would have trouble getting a cow down. They might also eat fish. They'd maybe pick wind-blown fruit, and they'd eat berries off bushes. They might scavenge eggs. So in general, a dog in the wild would eat natural food. Now dogs don't cook, so the food would be raw. And the other factor is dogs don't snack in grain fields. It's very unlikely you'd find a dog walking through a wheat field getting his lunch. And the problem with processed pet food is that first of all it's cooked, which changes the nature of the food, alters the vitamin content, and a lot of pet food is grain based, which is biologically inappropriate for dogs. Dogs also eat the stomach content of the animals they catch, which means that they would get some vegetable matter and maybe some grain matter, but it would be masticated and it would have gone through the body. So in that way the prey breaks down the cell walls of the food so that dogs can metabolize that vegetable matter. Dogs aren't really designed to flourish on processed pet food. It is in fact, and quite literally, junk food. Pet food is the result of industrialisation. It's the byproduct or the garbage left after human food processing. So if it can't go into human food, then it gets dumped onto dog food. So what is in pet food? Well, for a start, anything, as I said, that can go into human food goes into it, because the industries can make more money out of human food. Pet food's relatively cheap. So, for example, it wouldn't be the peanut, it would be the peanut husk. It wouldn't be the whole grain, again it would be the husks. It wouldn't be the muscle meat, it would be everything that's left over. So that means feet, spleens, skin. A lot of the food in pet food is also rancid. They might go to the supermarkets to get hold of the food that's past its sell-by date. There have been undercover reporters going in and filmed the rendering plants throwing in the meat from supermarkets along with its plastic packaging and polystyrene trays and so on, which are obviously toxic. So when you look on the packet or the can and look at the ingredients, it talks about animal byproducts and something like vegetables or vegetable derivatives and so on. So basically it's not the whole food, it's the stuff that without pet food that would go into landfill sites. The result of processed pet food is that dogs are almost forever at the vets to be treated for what is actually diseases of malnutrition. Most of the illnesses that dogs are taken to the vets for are diseases of malnutrition. When you cook food, you really do destroy the nutrients. A lot of the vitamins are heat sensitive. A lot of them are sensitive to oxygen and light. They get cooked at very high temperatures to get rid of the rancidity that comes with using byproducts. And that high temperature destroys a lot of the nutrients. Apart from that, nobody actually knows the complete vitamin and mineral requirements of dogs. If you look at the AFCO feeding guidelines, which are produced by the American government to help pet food manufacturers, it states quite clearly that actually nobody really knows what dogs need. Actually, they don't know what cats need either, not in detail. So when they take these rancid products, cook them at high temperatures, and attempt to produce what they call complete and balanced food, they're actually guessing. They're throwing a few vitamins and minerals in, hoping that it's going to do the job. The equivalent really is feeding a child, you know, some sort of pot-based food that you add water to. It's just not nutritious, doesn't contain the life force. The result of processed pet food is that animals are very susceptible to parasites. When you feed naturally, you find that your dog very rarely, or if at all, attracts fleas or worms. Parasites thrive on dogs with poor immune systems. Worms, for example, you can get worm infestations because pet food is mostly containing food that your dog can't metabolise, an awful lot of grain matter. That takes hours and hours for the dog to try and process, which they can't do because it's not suitable for his body. And it hangs about in the gut in sort of squidgy, glutinous lumps, and that's where worms get their food, and that's why you get infestations with pet food fed dogs. You also get large smelly faeces because they can't metabolise the food. It comes out the other end, and you'll find that raw food fed dogs have very nice, small, virtually odourless faeces, whereas pet food fed dogs have these enormous dollops of poo, if you'll pardon the expression. That's the sort of poo that people write petitions about and try and get dogs banned from parks because of. It's not very nice, it's smelly, and it's really not very environmentally friendly. And the fact that dogs are taking longer to try and digest this indigestible diet means that rather than use their energy to rebuild cells and help the body to be healthy, they're actually spending hours trying over and over again to digest this food. Naturally fed dogs, their digestion takes about 4 hours. If you're looking at processed pet food, it takes maybe 12 hours. So there's all that time that the dog's not repairing his cells and not allowing being allowed to be healthy. So the upshot is that if you're feeding processed pet food, you're feeding garbage, you're literally feeding junk. You're feeding the waste products from the human food industry. And if you want verification of that, simply go up to the UK's Pet Food Manufacturers Association website, and they actually use that as a sales point. It's a waste disposal industry. The result is that your dog is deficient in essential nutrients because he's not getting the correct balance of foods and he's not getting fresh, wholesome, whole foods. You also end up with dogs with periodontal disease. This is teeth and gums. In the wild, dogs use the meat, the muscle meat and the bones to clean their teeth as well as gain nutrition. Whereas if you're feeding your dog pet food, you're literally forcing them to eat out of a can or packet and never have their teeth cleaned. This means that they'll have millions of bacteria in their mouth which they're swallowing constantly, and that's going to infect their entire bodies. It can lead to organ disease, it can lead to a depleted immune system. And then you have the degenerative diseases that come about from a combination of eating nutritionally insufficient food and also toxic food. And it's so easy to feed naturally. We'll be talking about that on another clip.